The day the sky forgot its color. The morning the world turned to chalk, Vesper was the only one who screamed. It wasn't a sudden eclipse or a storm. The sky simply ceased to be blue. It became a flat, oppressive expanse of absolute white, as if an eraser had been taken to the horizon. No sun warmed her skin. No stars whispered to the night. For everyone else in the town of Oakhaven, the change was invisible. They moved through the bleached streets with glassy eyes, their memories of cerulean and emerald dissolving like sugar in tea. Only Vesper held the weight of the spectrum in her heart, a lonely prism in a world of ghosts. Vesper tried to talk to Mrs. Gable, the weaver who used to boast about her scarlet yarns. Now, the woman sat at her loom, passing colorless threads through a colorless frame. "Isn't it terrifying?" Vesper whispered, her voice trembling. Mrs. Gable only smiled a hollow, polite smile. "Isn't what terrifying, dear? It's a lovely, bright day." As Vesper backed away, she tripped over a scrap of parchment pinned to the weaver's door. It wasn't written in ink, but in deep, tactile indentations. "Stop looking up." She found Silas near the dried-up fountain. He was her only anchor, a boy who once promised to paint the world for her. He was staring at his hands as if he didn't recognize them. "Silas, tell me what color my eyes are," she pleaded, grabbing his wrists. He looked at her, his pupils reflecting the blankness above. "They are bright, Vesper. Just bright." He didn't say brown. He didn't say amber. He was slipping away into the fog of the new normal, and Vesper felt the first cold prickle of a fear that had no name. As the days bled into one another, the shadows began to move independently of the light. Vesper saw them in the corner of her eye, tall, spindly figures made of shimmering distortion and absolute silence. They didn't walk. They drifted, leaning over the townspeople like vultures over a feast. She found another note tucked into the bark of a dead oak tree. "They live in the blank. They eat what you forget." A being of silence stood just behind the tree, its form a ripple in the air, watching her with a void where a face should be. Silas was fading faster than the others. Vesper watched from the shadows as a being of silence hovered over him while he sat on a park bench. The creature pressed its palm against Silas's temple, and a faint, colorful mist, the gold of a summer hayride, the violet of a shared grape soda, was pulled from his head and swallowed into the creature's translucent chest. Silas's posture slumped further. He was becoming a vessel of nothingness, and the sky grew a fraction brighter, a fraction heavier. "Leave him alone!" Vesper lunged forward, swinging her heavy satchel at the creature. Her strike passed through the being like it was made of smoke, but the creature recoiled, emitting a sound that wasn't a sound at all. It was the feeling of a forgotten name. Silas blinked, looking at Vesper with a momentary spark of recognition. "Vesper? Why is it so quiet?" he whispered. For a second, the sky hummed, a low tectonic vibration that rattled the windows of the town. The being drifted back into the white, waiting. Vesper ran until her lungs burned, reaching the highest point in Oakhaven, the old watchtower. She found the final note nailed to the trap door. The handwriting was her own, though she had no memory of writing it. "I couldn't bear the blue. I hid the truth in the white. Stop looking up, O.R. The weight will return." Her heart hammered against her ribs. She ignored the warning and climbed the ladder, throwing open the hatch to face the great blank head-on. Standing on the roof, Vesper reached into the pocket of her soul and pulled. The memory she had buried came rushing back like a flood. The accident, the loss of her parents, the blue car, the green trees, the red blood. She had wished for a world without the pain of those colors, and the universe had listened. She had traded the world's vibrancy for her own numbness. She held a small, glowing shard of memory in her hands, a crystalline pulse of deep, aching indigo. As she gripped it, the white sky above her began to groan. "I'm sorry," she sobbed, and the word was a key. As she accepted the memory of her grief, the white sky didn't turn blue. It cracked. Massive, jagged fissures spiderwebbed across the firmament, revealing a terrifying, infinite darkness behind the veil. The silenced beings shrieked in a frequency that shattered glass. The weight of the sky, the literal mass of the atmosphere, began to descend. She had remembered everything, and now the sky was falling to reclaim its place. Below her, the town began to wake. Silas stood in the street, looking up as the first drop of rain, real, blue-tinted rain, hit his cheek. Vesper stood on the crumbling tower, bracing herself. The world would be heavy again. It would be sharp and painful and terrifyingly colorful. She looked down and saw Silas reaching a hand up toward her. The white was gone. The sky was falling. But as the colors rushed back into the trees and the stones, Vesper realized that even a falling sky was better than a blank one.